What if I told you that there's a place on this planet where the water itself is evil? Not just dangerous, but genuinely, consciously malicious. The North Sea. Its name doesn't do it justice. It should be called the Sea of Shadows. For centuries, sailors have whispered about it. They don't talk about storms or waves. They talk about the things that live there, the things that watch, the things that claim people. And today, we're diving into 5 of their stories. Stories that are connected by something so terrifying, you might just sleep with the lights on tonight. Our first story begins in 1923 with a fishing trawler named the Black Gull. Its captain, Jonas Hansen, was a man made of granite. He didn't know the meaning of fear until one night the sea showed him something that redefined it. The wind just died. The waves flattened into a black mirror, and then a fog rolled in, thick, oily, and black, like smoke. That's when the crew heard it, a low hum, like a crowd of people whispering, just on the edge of hearing. One sailor, Erik, climbed the mast to see. He came back down, light as a ghost, stammering that there was another ship beside them. But it wasn't a ship anyone could build. Its timbers were charred black, its sails in tatters, and it was moving with no wind. Then shapes appeared on its deck, shadows with eyes that burned like hot coals. The engine was dead. They were trapped. Erik was standing by the rail when something invisible yanked him overboard. His scream was cut short. The fog lifted as fast as it came. The phantom ship was gone. The crew made it back, but they were broken men. Captain Hansen wrote one final entry in his logbook. He described a strange language carved into the hull of that ship. A week later, he walked into the sea and never came back. His log was found. On one torn page, a single word was written: cursed. But that wasn't the whole story. The sea's hunger wasn't satisfied with entire ships. Sometimes it targeted one person at a time. In 1956, a lone fisherman named Carl Jurgensen was pulling in his net when the water around his boat turned thick and black, like liquid tar. In his net wasn't a normal catch. It was a fish with the grotesque, twisted face of a human, its dead eyes locked on his. He threw the abomination back in a panic, but the damage was done. On his way home, he heard a haunting song coming from the deep. When he reached shore, his boat was filled with that same living, moving black water. That night, he dreamed The fish spoke to him. It said, "You're ours now." He woke up to the smell of rot and wet footprints on his floor. Footprints with long, webbed toes. The local priest told him to return what he took from the sea, but Carl had taken nothing. Or so he thought. The next day, the thing in his net was back, but now it was bigger, its body more humanoid. It dragged him into the depths. When other fishermen pulled up his net days later, it wasn't fish they found. It was a tangle of human bones and one skull carved with the same unknown writing from the ghost ship. Yet, you didn't need to be on a boat to be a target. Sometimes, the horror came to you. In 1897, a lighthouse keeper named Angus McDougall was stationed at the remote Grey Crow Lighthouse. Isolation was part of the job, but the tapping at his door every night, that wasn't. It was a faint, scraping sound like long fingernails on wood. He'd open the door to nothing but perfectly still, silent water. Then he saw a face reflected in the glass, a face that wasn't there when he turned around. The smell of decay filled the air. The final straw was the sound of a child crying from the waves. He rowed out and found a wooden doll floating there. Its eyes were disturbingly human. He brought it inside. That was his mistake. The crying never stopped. The doll moved on its own, showing up in different rooms, once even standing by the door. Angus started to think he was going mad. He wrote about seeing the same cryptic writing on the doll. Then he vanished. When a relief crew arrived months later, the lighthouse was spotless. The doll was gone, and scrawled on the wall in what was later confirmed to be blood were the words, "He sees you." But what could wipe out an entire crew of hardened fishermen without a single fight? The village of Viker found out in 1938. Their best boat, the Silver Wave, skippered by the legendary Bjorn Olafsson, was overdue. When it finally drifted back into view, it was rocking violently by itself. There were no lights on. When it hit the shore, the horror began. The deck was a slaughterhouse, drenched in blood, the nets shredded to ribbons. But there was no crew, no bodies, and the food in the galley was still set out, untouched. It was as if the men were plucked from existence in a single moment. Inside, they found a carved wooden plank. One fisherman, Sigurd, swore he saw a multi-eyed sea serpent watching them. The villagers tried to burn the cursed boat, but the flames wouldn't catch. The wood wouldn't burn. They had to let it drift back into the fog. Later, Sigurd started having nightmares. He dreamt of Bjorn, with eyes blacker than the deepest water, telling him, "You're next." They found Sigurd's body on the beach soon after, and on his chest, carved into his skin, were those same symbols. By 1967, we had technology, sonar, radio. Surely we were safe from old superstitions. The crew of the modern cargo ship, MV Dystar, thought so. Captain Vanderholt took a shortcut through a forbidden zone to save time. His arrogance cost them everything. The ship shuddered. The sonar went crazy, detecting a massive, pulsing electrical signal deep below. The crew ran on deck to see the ocean glowing with eerie, circling lights. Beneath the surface, crewman Jan saw them, pale, elongated humanoid shapes with glowing eyes, moving in sync with the lights. A deep, chanting hum filled the air. The engines died. Then the knocking started. Something was climbing the hull. Jan was grabbed by an invisible force and pulled under the water before anyone could react. The last thing they heard was mocking, muffled laughter. The official report called the captain unreliable, but every single survivor began having the same nightmare. Jan would appear to them, covered in the unearthly light, whispering, "The light is calling you." One by one, they all disappeared until there was no one left to tell the tale. Five stories spread across decades from different countries, but they all share the same clues. The black water, the unnatural humming, the glowing eyes, the unreadable carvings. This isn't a coincidence. This is a pattern. It suggests something intelligent lives in the depths of the North Sea, something ancient, something that claims whoever it touches. The official records will call them accidents or madness, but the logs, the diaries, the evidence, they tell a different story. They suggest we are not at the top of the food chain, and that sometimes the darkest legends aren't just stories, they're warnings. So the next time you see a map, look at the North Sea and remember, something there is watching. And it's been waiting a very, very long time.